go.
Today, I'll be addressing the very important question of whether or not AI is helping or harming the education of current-day high school students. Also in this speech, I will be giving you the irrefutable evidence to support the fact that AI is undeniably incredibly harmful to our education. So, before I get into that, I will present you with some counter-arguments. Some may argue that the use of AI could be incredibly useful for certain aspects of learning. For example, and myself, when I'm doing homework, it is always extremely helpful for me to have the answer key right next to my work. So as I go through the step-by-step process, I can make sure that I'm doing it correctly and have the formula down to a T. However, this doesn't apply to all students, as a lot of students will explicitly use this to copy down work and not absorb it in any way, shape, or form. And AI can be used for that. Another argument as to why it may be helpful is for teachers. It can be used to automatically grade almost any sort of assignment. But that also means that the teacher isn't reading personally every single thing that they receive from their students. The major problem when it comes to AI is that it very much violates academic integrity, more specifically plagiarism, but it doesn't stop there. When it comes to plagiarism is taking someone else's work and passing it off as your own. Now, while AI may not be considered someone, you're undoubtedly passing off something as your own that we all know that isn't. Problems continue from then. If you look at AI and how it works, when you put in a question to AI, it sorts through the entire internet and pops out an answer. This also makes it very susceptible to bias. If I ask a question that has some sort of political or social relevance, I'm really going to get an answer that's based off the majority, since that's what it's going to be pulling from. When we think about school and what it's meant to do, it can help us to hone in on the fact of whether or not AI is helpful, which it's not, because school is meant to teach students a few very core things. When we're learning, we are learning critical thinking, thinking independently, and making decisions when we're out in the world on our own. This is why school is, legal for everyone to take, because it is imperative that in this country we have those abilities, thinking for ourselves, thinking critically, and thinking on the spot. If we as a society form a dependence on the use of AI, it could be detrimental to the future. If a war were to break out and our power shut off, no Wi-Fi, and we've been growing up using AI our whole lives, what are we going to do then? We're not going to be able to make decisions for ourselves, and we'll be sitting ducks. Another issue is when it comes to the example of a low student and a high student. If a low student, for example, is using AI, and this high student is not, the low student could be putting in all of their work into an AI generator, copying down the answers, copying down the process, not absorbing any of it, not learning the process of how to study, of how to apply information, and is just regurgitating what they're immediately reading, basically having AI do their schoolwork for them. Now let's take a look at the high student. A high student who is not using any AI generator like ChatGPT, for example, when they're going through their work, they're using the knowledge they've absorbed from class, the notes that they've learned how to take, and applying that knowledge themselves to their work. Now, if we look at both of these two students' assignment, if the lower student, the student who doesn't know the information themselves, who didn't learn it, did not take notes, didn't put any amount of effort in, and solely relied on AI, if they get a higher score than the higher student, they're going to seem like the higher student. Now, why is that dangerous? Well, think of things like the SAT. On the SAT test, you're putting all of that knowledge you've learned throughout your entire school career to the test. Now, this high student who's been absorbing the information, working hard, understanding the education as they go through all of their grade years, and compare this to the low student, if they both take the SAT or ACT and the lower student uses ChatGPT to cheat on that, they could get a higher score. Or if they use ChatGPT or any AI throughout their school years, they could have higher GPA, better grades, and reputation amongst their teachers overall, especially if they don't know they're using it. They could get a higher score, do better, and surpass the student who's actually higher than them, and could take a scholarship that would have been meant for someone who actually deserved it. Now, if we look how that's going to affect our future, If the people who don't deserve these opportunities truly and are using technology as a crutch, that can be extremely detrimental for what the future holds. In conclusion, AI is not meant to do the work for us. If it is meant for anything, it should be meant to teach us something. It should be meant to use potentially as a study guide or helping here and there, filling in the gaps in our understanding. It should not be something that is implemented in the education system or even allowed. In fact, to preserve the academic integrity of our schools, we need to make sure that AI and ChatGPT is not as readily available as it is. It's easily accessible to anyone, to fake an essay, to fake an assignment, to fake your entire school career. This is incredibly dangerous, and anyone who knows better can think for themselves, can use critical thinking, and make decisions on the spot is someone who doesn't use ChatGPT, doesn't use AI, and knows that it should not be a part of our educational system.